Are live. Welcome from Cybertech, New York City. I have Dexter, who's the CEO co-founder of Smart Eye.
Smart Eye Technology. Absolutely. Thank you
Smart
so
Eye.
much for having me, David.
So, tell me about your technology. What problems do you solve for customers, and just maybe a couple of use cases that you can share with us.
Well, Smart Technology is really a privacy and security platform. So at the end of the day, what we do is that we help companies actually to stop individuals from having access to your documents physically on the laptop computer or physically looking at it on a mobile device. And so what happens a lot of times is companies want to share documents, let's say prototypes, or let's say financial data. And the problem is, you don't want other people seeing or having access to those documents. And so when you send it through the Smart Technology platform, the only person physically who could see that information is the person that you sent it to. So what happens, it'll recognize my face only through facial recognition. But when it sees another face, it'll block the entire screen because it'll recognize an unknown face is looking at this document through Smart Technology. So absolutely.
So, Dexter, I came across a lot of founders of companies, and typically, the way they came out with the idea was that they came across the problem on their own.
Mhm.
Is that also the case with you?
Yeah, actually, I was. It's a good question. I actually was in Israel 3 years ago, and I was at a cybersecurity event, and I was sitting next to a cybersecurity expert. And one of the things that I noticed when I sit next to that cybersecurity expert was I could see his laptop screen, and I saw documents. I saw Word documents. I saw PDF documents, and a thought hit my mind: why should I be able to see any document that's on this guy's laptop? So I said, what if we could create software called Smarter Technology that would block your entire screen when it recognized an unknown face looking at that document on that screen. So that's how the whole idea started.
And so, a lot of times people have ideas, but then ideas a dime a dozen, right?
Right.
How did you go about from having that idea and seeing the problem, and then going and creating a business out of it? What was the kind of first process that you took? Who are your kind of first clients? Because it's not an easy endeavor. It's a jumping the deep end like that.
That's a great question because it's not easy. And initially, when I first came up with the idea, I actually reached out to I was reached out to some Israeli software developers, and they helped me develop software. So before we actually started that process, they needed to do the research on the project first, and they told me that it would take 90 days. I said, okay, well, how much will it cost me? And they said $50,000. So I didn't have the $50,000, so I reached out to an investor of mine and asked him, could we go to lunch because we hadn't had lunch in a while.
That was one expensive lunch.
Very
Okay.
expensive. So I told him that I wanted to create software that is shut off if you looked at my screen. And he said, well, that sounds interesting, Dex. He said, but I'm an 80-year-old man. He said, what the heck do you want from me? He said, I don't know anything about software. I said, I need $50,000 today. And so what happened was he said, so you want me to be the first sucker? And I said, no, I want you to be the first investor. And so he did, loan me the money. And when he did that, we were actually able to start the research. But it was still a risk because I didn't realize they could come back and say, we can't do it. So that was a risk. And we actually did end up creating the software. They came back 9 days later and said, Dexter, this is how we can create it. So that's how the process started with just the beginning of creating it. But
Right.
as you know, from there, you spend millions of dollars, much
Right.
more
Right. Right. Right.
behind that.
Right.
So
Right. But it's really the initial inception is really the hardest, right?
it's the
So
hardest.
tell me about how you got your first client.
Well, what we've done, we're actually we right now we have over 25,000 individuals using the mobile app right now as we
Right.
speak, and so we have a huge amount of individuals using it right now to share photos, documents, or whatever they're doing inside of Smart Eye Technology.
Mm-hmm.
We currently are doing proof of concepts with two major publicly traded companies as we speak right now. So we're right there on the verge of getting that big account. So we're very close to that.
So that's a super exciting times for you, right?
Very
So,
exciting. Very exciting.
tell me about the kind of the use case specific for like larger enterprise. Let's assume that somebody's interested in technology. It's always the the trade-off in security and usability,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
So maybe tell me a bit about that.
absolutely. Our software is very simple to use. We don't have any passwords. We don't have any usernames. That's old-fashioned and outdated, in my opinion.
Hmm.
We just use your face, your voice, or your fingerprint to open up documents. That's it. Very simple. So a 5-year-old could use our software. Very simple and very fast. And so when it comes to use cases, usually like HR departments, if you're onboarding a new employee and you send them a welcome letter, offer letter, and you send them their new salary information. Well, a lot of times HR people make mistakes and they push a button, and that information goes out to all the employees of the company or of people who shouldn't see that information. And so Smarter Technology stops that because it'll only go to the person that you sent it to at the end of the day.
It's so interesting. And do you have a mechanism to prevent, the liveness detection, right? To make
Mhm.
sure that you don't play an audio recording of like
Yes, we do have liveness
Mhm.
checks on there as well, and especially that's why we're a multi-level biometric platform. So we use face,
Mhm.
fingerprint, and voice in order to access documents. So we do have liveness checks on those as well. Absolutely.
So if somebody wanted to try the technology, what's the easiest way to do it?
You can actually go and download the mobile app. You can download the mobile app on the Apple App Store. Just type in Smart Eye app. It's very simple. You type in Smart Eye app, or you can go on the Google Play Store, whichever device you're using, and type in Smart Eye app, and you'll be able to download the mobile version, which is free out there. So you can actually use that and test it out. And for the businesses, it's actually we have a desktop version for businesses. So that's where the cost comes in for businesses at the end of the day.
And have you thought about just selling it to individuals? Maybe like when there's maybe a husband and wife that don't want to share documents, stuff like that. Would that
I
would
thought you were
that
going to
work?
say a husband trying to hide hide pictures from his wife. We get a lot of that too. But basically, it's still for individuals can go and download it for free, and they can use it for right now. Later on, we'll charge for storage if you're storing so much data and things like that. We'll charge, but right now, it's free out there for individuals.
And does it help with a lot of regulatory compliance
Mhm.
requires some controls over secure documents. Does
Mhm.
does your technology help with that?
Yeah, actually, all of our documents are actually encrypted. So if you upload a document, a photo, we can't even see it on our cloud environment. It's all encrypted data. So all the biometrics are also encrypted as well. So we're extremely, tight when it comes to those things like that, for sure.
So where do you go from here, right?
Mhm.
So you came to New York City to be part of this community and event, which is really exciting. Where do you see your company in the next 12 to 18 months?
Well, definitely the global market is out there. So we get a lot of interest from overseas that we're talking to right now as we speak. And so if we continue down this path, we'll have a lot of international clients, over the next 12 months as well. So.
That's great. So, in my mind, I'm thinking like, impossible mission, right?
Hmm.
Like where you get a document, it's self-destruct.
Right.
So, and then it's all like smoky and stuff like that. I guess you can maybe design the same, go into a hardware, like a higher level of security where the whole device actually destructs and somebody else looks at it, you know?
Yeah, we'll keep it simple. We don't want the device to destroy because we want, hey, what happened to my phone? So we don't want people to say that.
Well, it'd be the extra level support afterwards, right? So,
Right. Absolutely.
Dexter, it's been a real pleasure. Thanks for dropping by. Much
Thank you so much,
appreciated.
David. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me live.
Thank you.
Thank you.